Hey guys, I'm Dave Ramsey, and this is my daughter, Rachel Cruz. We're so excited to welcome you to this Foundations in Personal Finance class. We really believe this is the most important class you'll ever take. The stuff you're going to learn in this class will literally change your life forever.
Yeah, whether you make $50 a week or $5,000 a week, whether you're 15 or 55, you need to know how money works and how you can put it to work for you. And the best part is you can start right now. If you're watching this in high school, you need to stop and thank your teacher. Want to know why? Because he or she just made you a millionaire.
Absolutely. You know, anyone really can become a millionaire in this country. All it takes is some discipline and planning. If you invest just $100 a month starting at age 16, you'll be a millionaire by the time you're 55. And you'll have about $3.5 million by the time you retire. That's $100 a month. That's pizza and movie money for some of you.
Yeah, and this isn't rocket science. This is just understanding the basic financial principles. We'll cover all of it. Things like budgeting, basic investing, getting through college without student loans, why and how to buy a car with cash instead of a car loan, and even giving money to others in need. This class will totally change the way you look at money.
You guys are in a perfect position to hear this information. You'll be out of high school soon and moving out into the real world. Some of you will go to college, others will go right to work, some of you will go into the military for a while. No matter what your plans are, it's time to learn how to live on your own. You have a lot of responsibility coming your way fast. Things like paying rent, buying a car, paying your own grocery bill, covering your college tuition, and on and on and on. So let's learn how to handle it.
Yeah, and if you're going to college, don't think you can put this stuff off for another 4 years. Did you know that the #1 reason why college students drop out is money problems? They start school and then get stuck because they're up to their eyeballs in student loans, credit card bills, and car payments. This doesn't have to be you. Just think about what you could do, where you could go, what you could start in the world if you were totally debt-free for life. You could do anything. Teaching me this stuff at an early age was the best gift my parents could have ever given me. I will never owe a dime to anyone because the foundation they laid in my life. That's why I'm so passionate about this material, and especially putting it into the hands of high school students. If all of you guys really get this, then the world could change. It could be amazing.
A lot of your friends will graduate from college with tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. And that will be on top of credit card debt and a car loan. What would your life look like if you did things differently? What if you got out of college with zero debt and thousands of dollars in the bank? It can happen, and we're going to show you how.
Thanks for joining us for this class. We promise it can change the whole direction of your life. Now let's get started.
What to invest in.
Try not to spend it.
How to save it and how to manage it pretty much.
How to actually stick to your budget. Probably just how to keep it in my savings account better because I normally just swipe my card wherever I go.
My parents have never been good at managing money. It seems like every time we have an emergency, we're scratching for money, borrowing, or taking out credit card loans, and I just don't want to be in that situation.
So you're in high school. By now you know all about class requirements and how it can feel like you're wasting your time learning something you won't use until you're older, or maybe never at all. No matter how well you try to hide it, I bet some of you feel the same way about personal finance. Why does a teenager need to know anything about managing money? At your age, you might work a part-time job or get money from your parents for doing chores around the house. It's not much, but you earn enough to grab dinner with friends or buy a new outfit at the mall. And if you run out, no big deal. You've got a place to sleep and food to eat. Once you get older though, things change. You'll pay rent, buy your own groceries, and pay all of your own bills. Running out of money as an adult is a big deal, and it happens too. 7 out of 10 families in America live paycheck to paycheck. That means they're spending all of their money from one paycheck before the next one arrives. If you can learn how to manage the money you've got today, you'll be ready to manage lots more when you get older and avoid the dreaded paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. And that's what personal finance is all about, making decisions about how you will earn, budget, save, and spend money in the future. To make smart decisions with your money, you've got to put into practice the key components of a successful financial plan. First up, assess your financial situation. Write down your income, how much money you make, your assets, or what you own that has financial value, and your liabilities, any bills or debts that you owe. Right now, that list might not be long. That's why it's a perfect time to start managing your money. Next, you've got to set money goals. Setting goals with your money gives you something to aim for. A goal will also give you motivation, especially when you want to quit. So set your money goals and don't be afraid to go big. Once you've set your money goals, you must write out a detailed plan for accomplishing them. If you don't budget every dollar you make, it'll slip right through your fingers. So with the goal in mind, determine how you're going to reach it. And here's the biggie, write it down. Then execute your plan. It might sound like I'm being redundant, but here's the deal. You can set goals, write down a plan, but that's still not enough. You must carry out that plan day to day. You don't get straight A's by writing the word study on your to-do list. And you definitely don't meet your money goals by simply writing out a budget. You must follow through. It's also important to know your money personality. Did you know that you're naturally a spender or a saver? Neither personality is right or wrong, but understanding your strengths and weaknesses as they relate to money will help you approach financial decisions with wisdom. To keep things moving, you must monitor and reassess your financial plan often. As you get older, graduate from high school, go to college or to work, get married, buy a house, start a family, your financial situation will change. You've got to be ready to change right along with it. Lastly, you've got to replace money myths with money truths. Society poses all kinds of big lies about money. You might hear that car payments are just a way of life, or student loans are the good kind of debt. Learn to recognize money myths and replace them with the truth. I hope you're excited because we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll cover a ton of information for sure. But here's the good news. If you put into practice what we teach, you can truly win with money.
All right, up next, folks, as you're listening to the Dave Ramsey Show, is Kate in Grand Rapids. Hi, Kate. How are you today?
Good. I'm in high school and trying to decide whether to major in a field that I really like or in one that makes a lot of money. So can I become wealthy and have a career that I love?
Well, Kate, that is a really good question, and you're particularly wise to be asking that while you're in high school. I will tell you this. Very few people succeed at something they hate, even if they're good at it. And so when I'm talking to a college student or a high school student that says, hey, I think accounting is a good field. I think I could make a lot of money being an accountant, but and I'm pretty good at math, but I actually hate sitting and doing detailed math all day long. Well, you're going to hate your whole life. You're going to become a hateful person. You're not going to be a good accountant. And yet there are people that love numbers and they bathe in numbers and they want to be an accountant. They love it. They get great joy when spreadsheets balance. And I know those people are sick, but they're out there. And so, that's the person who needs to be an accountant. What gives you the most joy? And then find a way to monetize that in the open market. You don't want to go to a dentist that hates his job. You don't want to go to a doctor or a lawyer that hates their job. You don't want a teacher that hates their job. The best teachers are those that love teaching. They get great, they have a joy in what they do. And so you will never be good at something that you hate. You really won't. And therefore, it's very difficult to become wealthy at it. And so you may have to find some kind of an unusual way to monetize what people traditionally see as a skill set. For instance, I'm a math guy and I'm a finance guy, and I love numbers. But you could be a bookkeeper with that and make $30,000 or $40,000 a year, which there's nothing wrong with that. Or you could be on the radio telling people and using those same exact math skills and be on the radio helping people with their money and doing math and finance with them all day long and make a lot of money, which is what I do. So I've got bookkeeping skills, but I applied them in a way that gives me great joy, and therefore I have become wealthy doing that over a long period of time. So, hey, great question, Kate. Thank you for calling in. I've been teaching people how to handle money and build wealth for more than 20 years. I've spent a lot of time with people who are doing really, really well. And I've spent a lot of time with people who are up to their eyeballs in debt and they're struggling with the bills. What I found is that building wealth isn't rocket science. It's actually pretty simple, but it starts by taking control of your behavior. You see, most people don't have a money problem. They have a behavior problem. Hey, the stuff we teach is pretty easy to understand. The problem is that most people don't do it. And that's why 7 out of 10 households are broke and living paycheck to paycheck. Personal finance is only 20% head knowledge. Learning what to do is the easy part. The other 80% is behavior. I learned a long time ago that if I wanted to build wealth, I had to take control of the guy in my mirror.
That's right. We've seen over and over and over that anyone can build wealth. I don't care where you live, what you do or don't have right now. The fact is, you're in high school. This is the perfect time for you to get this information. If you apply the stuff you're going to learn in this course right now, you'll have an incredible life without ever having to worry about debt, car payments, and student loans. This class is your roadmap to a successful life. If you actually do the stuff we're going to talk about, you will win with money. We're going to teach you the basic principles of personal finance, how to save and invest, how to follow an education and career path that excites you, how to stay out of debt, and how to help others along the way. I hear from adults all the time that say, I wish I could have learned this stuff when I was young. Why do they say that? Because they know they could have avoided so many money mistakes along the way if they had just learned this stuff when they were your age. All through this class, we're going to show you the right way to manage money right from the start. In order to fully grasp personal finance and know what myths are out there and replace them with the truth, you'll need a complete understanding of the history of money in America. And we can't even begin to cover that without discussing the credit industry. Think back to the last commercial you've seen for something big, like a car, a living room set, or a vacation. Did the narrator say something like, "When you can afford it, we'd love for you to buy it"? Or did his message sound more like, "Buy now, pay later, 90 days same as cash"? I think we all know it's the second phrase we hear most. Borrowing money is such a normal part of our culture. It's hard for many people to imagine living life without it, much less affording transportation, furniture, or taking a family trip without going into debt. So the question is, America, how did we get here?
Most people are impatient.
They just can't wait.
Because it's easy access, pretty much.
It's a lot easier to use a credit card and then instead of saving for a long time.
Ever wonder why most people borrow money the way they do? They use loans and credit cards without giving it much thought. Want it now but don't have all the money for it? Hey, no problem. I'll just put it on this little piece of plastic and it's mine. Buy now, pay later has become a way of life for the normal American. Right now, the average total household credit card debt is over $15,000, and the average student loan debt is about $30,000. That's a lot of money to pay back, and that doesn't even count the interest. Later in this class, you're going to learn why credit cards and car loans are such a terrible idea. But first, we need to ask a question. How did we get here? Let's take a quick look at the evolution of the credit industry in America. Before 1917, buying things on credit was extremely rare. That's because there were laws preventing lenders from charging high enough interest rates. That meant lenders couldn't make much money by offering loans to working Americans, so they didn't bother with it. Sure, there were small-time loan sharks who took advantage of broke, scared, and desperate people. But these were shady businesses, and the high interest rates they charged were totally illegal. Jump ahead to 1920. World War I had ended, and the consumer demand for big-ticket manufactured products skyrocketed. Around that time, lawmakers were trying to shut down the illegal loan sharking industry, so they relaxed the credit laws and made it profitable for respectable banks to offer loans. And what do you get when you mix consumer demand for stuff and the legalization of personal loans? Well, in the 1920s, you got the birth of the American credit industry. Then a little bit later, at the tail end of the 20s and into the 30s, the Great Depression was raging. The government relaxed lending laws even more to help banks stay profitable. Then, moving into World War II, the economy improved a lot because the war created a ton of new jobs. After the war, the soldiers came home, the economy was in a lot better shape, and the lending laws were still relaxed. That pretty much set the stage for the birth of the credit card in the 1950s. Debt was becoming easier and more socially acceptable for the consumer, and it was more profitable for the lenders. It was a perfect storm. The credit monster has grown like crazy since then. In the past 50 or 60 years, debt has gone from something people were a little ashamed of to something that's totally normal in our culture. Banks keep coming up with all new and different ways to get our money, everything from high interest rates to a million different little fees that pick our pockets. And we as a society have become so addicted to debt that we still get excited when we're approved for a credit card. We think, hooray, I've been given the opportunity to lose all my money and spend my life in debt. I'm so lucky. The bottom line is that a lot of people you think look wealthy are completely broke. A big house, nice car, and flashy jewelry may look great on the outside, but most of the time these days, it just means that the mailbox is filled with outrageous bills and that the house is filled with unbelievable stress about how to pay for them. This is not the American dream. It's a trap. But there's a better way to have everything you need, a whole lot of what you want, and a legacy you'll be proud to leave to your kids someday. That's the kind of stuff we're going to cover throughout this class.
I'm going to let you guys in on something. It's a little fact that most people don't realize as they're growing up. Some people figure it out by the time they're adults, and other people never learn. But you guys are going to get it today. Here it goes. Things aren't always as they seem. By now you know that Santa isn't real and that putting on a cape doesn't make you a superhero. But that's not what I'm talking about. I mean the car your neighbor drives, the house your friend lives in, the clothes your relative wears. You might look at them and think, wow, they're doing pretty good. I want to live like them when I grow up. But like I said, things aren't always as they seem. The average credit card debt in this country is over $7,000 a family. On top of that, people borrow money to buy cars, homes, and to finance college educations. When you see something on someone else that makes you feel that twinge of jealousy, you have to realize that they may not even own it. It's possible that what you see was paid for with debt. So why does this matter? Well, it matters because one day you'll be out there in the real world. You may want to have what your friend has or look like your friend does. You'll realize that you can't live a life of luxury on your own and that you'll need a little help. You'll be tempted to go into debt just so you can be like everyone else. That's when you've got to remember, things aren't always as they seem. Being like everyone else means being broke and in debt. You don't have to spend more money than you make just to look good in front of your friends. You can learn the basic money principles and put them into practice. Then you'll get to experience a deeper satisfaction than any of your broke friends. And it really is simple, you guys. That's because personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. The money math is easy. It's controlling your behavior that's the real challenge. As you guys think about the normal American family, remember that normal is broke, and you don't have to be normal.
I want to tell you guys a little bit about why I'm so passionate about teaching people how to handle money. Right after I graduated from college, I went through a couple of jobs and I started buying and selling real estate. And I got rich, at least by a kid from Antioch, Tennessee standards. I ended up with a little over $4 million worth of real estate and a little over $3 million worth of debt. That means I had about $1 million net worth by the time I was 26 years old. My wife Sharon and I did all the cool rich people stuff. We took expensive vacations. We drove fancy cars. We bought a house in the same neighborhood as my mom and dad. Only took them 30 years to get there. We were really having fun. You know, you hear these people say stuff like, all those rich people are miserable. We were having a blast. But here's the dirty little secret. We were living a lie. We looked rich on the outside, but the truth is, I had built a house of cards because our entire net worth was supported by debt. I owed millions and millions of dollars on this real estate. And one day, that house of cards came crashing down. When one of the banks called one of the loans, and then they called another, and then another bank called another, and it all fell in. All of a sudden, I had to come up with cash to pay off all these lenders, but I didn't have any cash. We were sued as a result of not paying our bills. We were sued a bazillion times. We were even foreclosed on. And finally, with a brand new baby and a toddler and a marriage hanging on by a thread, we were bankrupt. Scared? Scared doesn't even begin to cover it. You know, not too long ago, I told that story on television, and one of the reporters said, so how did you bounce back? I just kind of laughed and said, dude, when you fall that far, you really don't bounce. It's more of a splat. So after losing everything and hanging on and being at the bottom, we went on a quest to find out how money really works. Not what the theory is, but how it really works. How to take control of your money. How to have confidence in handling it. I read everything I could get my hands on. You see, I already had a finance degree, but I had to learn some other things. And so I started talking to people who had won with money. Old people. Old, rich people, people with no hair and gray hair who had made money and they kept it. And that quest, well, it led me somewhere really uncomfortable. My mirror. I realized that the guy in my mirror, me, I was responsible for all the bad things that had happened to me, and I'm looking at him. He's the problem. It was my fault. It was my stupidity, my knack for borrowing money that got our family into so much trouble. But here's the catch. If I'm the one who got us there, if I'm the problem, I'm also the solution. And I realized that if I could get control of the guy in the mirror, then I could win with money. And that realization led me to discovering my life's calling, which is helping people learn how to handle money. How to make smart decisions, get out of debt, and experience genuine financial peace. And that's what I've been doing for well over 20 years. And I'm honored to have the chance to talk to millions of listeners on the radio every day. We've written several best-selling books that have sold millions of copies, and we've spoken to crowds of over 10,000 people at a time. Hey, all I do is teach common sense. But it looks like these days common sense is marketable. It's not that common anymore. And sure, I love helping families who are struggling and already in debt. And I love walking those families out of debt and showing them how they can change their lives forever. But even more than that, I love showing students like you how to avoid that mess. I don't want you to learn the dangers of debt the hard way like I did. I'd rather get you this message early, before you make a lot of the mistakes I made when I was just a little bit older than you are right now. And that's why Rachel and I are here walking you through this class. It's not because we want you to check off a credit on your high school transcript. It's because we know without a doubt this is one of the most important classes you'll ever take.
If it's an emergency, hopefully never.
I don't think you should use a credit card at all.
Buying like furniture, maybe a car or something.
If you don't have the money for it at that time and you really need something.
When it's like for higher priced items, I think, not just fast food restaurants like me.
Personally, in my opinion, I wouldn't use a credit card.
Despite all the problems they cause, credit cards and loans continue to exist because Americans believe they have to have debt, which in turn makes this a hugely profitable industry. Americans today charge more than $1 trillion a year on their credit cards. With interest payments skyrocketing, it's totally understandable that these companies are rolling in the big bucks. Now, there's nothing wrong with making a profit. I mean, hey, that's a good thing. But unfortunately, these companies are making their money by outsmarting people, even well-educated people. So why do we allow it? Well, we like stuff. Stuff is fun. We want stuff now, even if we don't have the money. And we're told that debt is normal. Salesmen tell us it's normal. Bankers tell us it's normal. Sometimes even our adult relatives tell us it's normal. We're taught that we can buy happiness and there's no reason to wait. You almost get that feeling that you'd be happy if you buy a new pair of jeans, and even happier if you buy two. It doesn't matter if you can pay for it, just as long as you can buy it right now. At the core, this whole idea is crazy. The debt system keeps us from building wealth because we're constantly giving our money away to pay for things that we bought years ago. I want you to be aware of the financial condition in our country, and I want you to question it. We arrived at this place because generations before us accepted debt. You and I can stop the acceptance moving forward. We can choose to learn the truth and manage our money without debt. So far, we've introduced you to the key components of personal finance, talked about the history of America's great love affair with debt, defined what a normal American family looks like, and told you that anyone, yes, even you, can build wealth. Because remember, winning with money takes only 20% head knowledge. The rest is behavior. Now let's dive into both of those aspects so you're 100% equipped to manage your money. We'll start with speaking the language of money and end with your money personality.
There is definitely a language to money. Understanding that language is important. Just like in sports, knowing the language helps you understand what's going on in the game. In baseball, a home run is a great thing. A strikeout is not. In tennis, an ace is a great thing. A service fault is not. And in football, a touchdown is a great thing. A holding penalty is not. Now, what happens if you try to play or even watch a game, but you don't know the terminology or language? It's going to be hard to get involved in the game. It's the same with money. You need to learn the basic language. Words like interest, debt, mutual funds. Those are all words you need to know if you're going to manage money successfully. And it's your money. Learning these terms will help you stay in control. The more you understand the language, the better off you'll be.
Knowing the language allows you to participate in the game. And if you really put what you learn into practice, you can tell your money what to do. That means deciding where your money is going before you get your next paycheck, aka a budget. It's also about talking with bankers, financial planners, and insurance agents, people who provide money services in order for you to build wealth. As you go through this course, pay attention to the vocabulary. Don't just memorize the terms, but really seek to understand the meaning behind them. As you become the expert of your money, you'll not only get yourself in the game, but you'll be guaranteed to win.
I want to tell you a couple of stories about how debt has gotten in the way of people pursuing their dreams and their passions. The first one was a young man that I'd worked with, and while he was in school, he loved photography. He had studied the art, he had studied the craft, and there was an opportunity that had come up out on the West Coast for him to take his dream job. The problem was that job wasn't going to pay enough. It wasn't going to pay enough for him to take care of his credit card payments and his car loan. See, while he was in school, he never thought about that. He never thought that taking on that debt would one day prevent him from pursuing his dream job. It didn't pay enough. And so now, as he looks back on it, he was frustrated and irritated, and he wished he could go back and tell himself not to take on that debt. The debt got in the way of him pursuing his dream. The next story I want to tell you about is a young married couple. They'd been married about 2 years. They had a young baby. And now they were beginning to just pursue things normally. But the problem was that the debt, the new baby, was all causing stress in their marriage. They were having money fights all the time. Every day was an argument about this or argument about that, and it all stemmed from the debt. See, they had over $10,000 in credit card debt, 2 new car payments, and they were stressed. I mean, a lot. Wasn't really sure if this marriage was going to make it. As I began to talk with them and begin to help them lay out a plan, they had to get focused. They had to get serious. Something had to change. So they began to talk about money. They laid out a budget. It wasn't easy, but they talked and they worked on it and they got better. See, they began to look at what they could do and they sacrificed. They sold one of the cars and got rid of the car payment. Then they got focused on finding things that they could sell to try to attack the credit card debt. Once they began to work together, things began to change. Things changed in their marriage. They now talked about money instead of arguing about money. And that stress was beginning to leave them. It took them a couple years, but they got on the same page and they're working a plan. The key to these stories is I don't want debt to bring you stress or prevent you from pursuing your dream. I want you to have options, and debt prevents those options.
You don't have to be a financial or accounting genius to win with money. Financial success isn't reserved just for the select few who actually enjoy running spreadsheets and amortization tables. But you do need what we call money smarts. That means you need a basic understanding of some key principles. First, you need to be comfortable with basic math, and that's the easy part. It's 6th grade math. If you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, then you're going to be okay. Second, you need to start understanding the language of money. And this can seem a little bit intimidating, but don't let it freak you out. You know, I can't stand it when some financial goober is looking down their nose at regular people trying to impress them or intimidate them with big words. There's no point in that. But that doesn't mean you should just ignore some simple financial concepts. We're going to talk about things like diversification and liquidity and compound interest in this class. And the words may make your eyes glaze over, but the concepts, they're really pretty simple. Besides, you should always have a good team of professionals helping you to understand things that you don't know what they are. There's no shame in that. I do that. Third, and this is the hardest part, you need to learn how to manage your money behavior. Your behavior with money is everything. You're going to hear us talk a lot about that all through this class. And I learned a long time ago, remember, the only person responsible for my success, my failure, is the guy in my mirror. Bottom line, anyone can win with money. You just have to be intentional and do the details. That is what this class is all about.
Manage. Wealth.
Debt. Saving.
Bills.
Security.
Spending it.
Wealth.
Happy.
Winning with money isn't just about understanding how it works. It's about putting your heart into it. That's the 80% behavior factor we talked about earlier. After all, cash can't walk itself to the bank and jump into your savings account. Money is just a tool, one that you use as you see fit. It's like a hammer. Unless you pick it up and swing it, it won't ever hit the nail. If you hold on to the money, then it's up to you to tell it where it goes. So the best way to manage money is to learn how to manage you. To do that, you've got to know your natural instincts when it comes to money. Are you more likely to save or to spend? Do you approach money management with a carefree attitude, or are you more precise? Once you know your money personality, you can develop a plan just for you And don't worry, having a plan isn't about restriction. It's about getting some of the things you want and making sure you can also pay for the things you need. Understanding your money personality also means facing your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to money. And hey, we all have them. Let's be honest, I love a good clothing sale. It's in recognizing who you are that you have the opportunity to learn and grow. So I encourage you throughout this course to constantly consider your money personality. How can you take what we teach and use it to better yourself?
Teaching America to do something Congress can't do. Live on less than you make. You're listening to The Dave Ramsey Show. Thank you for joining us, America. Up next is Topeka, Kansas. Jack is calling in. Hey, Jack, how are you, man?
Hi, Dave. I'm just learning to do a budget, and I'm kind of scared that I won't be able to go out and spend my money with my friends. How do I balance fun with being responsible?
Well, if you're a financially responsible teen, you will include fun in your budget, because you would be like a weird person if you don't ever have fun. You'd particularly be a weird teenager. And we're not teaching you to be, become strange. We don't want strange Jack in Topeka, Kansas. We want fun Jack in Topeka, Kansas. So what you have to do is you have to budget that. But also being responsible with money and not spending it all on fun is called being a grown-up, dude. And I talk to 57-year-olds and 17-year-olds who can't seem to balance that out. So the exercise of budget is not something to be scared about. It's an opportunity for you to prove you're growing up. It's an opportunity for you to prove you're moving into manhood, or for ladies that are listening, into womanhood. And it's saying, I'm going to control the person in my mirror by writing it down and having a plan. And my plan includes being responsible and having some fun. And by the way, I'm in charge of my plan, so I get to decide these things. So you're in charge of your budget. There's no reason to be afraid of it, but it is going to challenge you, because you don't want to be a child and spend all your money on candy. You also need to eat vegetables, and that's what the budget's about. Be responsible and have dessert in there too. Mix them up, but remember, you're in charge. I like your question, Jack, particularly coming from a high school student, dude. That's very bright that you're already grappling with this. That really means you're going to have a great future if you win the battle of the guy in your mirror. Hey, thanks for calling in. This is The Dave Ramsey Show.
One day you'll have a full-time job and get a regular paycheck. You'll have bills to pay and things you want to do. If you manage your money well, you'll have lots of it. Money will be a tool you can use to bless your family, give to others, and have a lot of fun. The opposite is true too. If you don't take money seriously, it'll slip through your fingers. You'll be broke and stressed about paying the bills and saving for your future. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to prepare you. See, you don't have a choice when it comes to handling money. You're going to have to handle money at some point in your life. So you can be really great at it, or you can be horrible at it. Now's the time. Decide to take this class seriously. I promise it'll help you succeed.
Before my wife and I read a single book by Dave Ramsey, we sat down. We had a conversation, a heart-to-heart, if you will. And we looked at each other and we said this: before we read anything by this guy, Dave Ramsey, we better buy a lot of fun stuff. We went on a pre-Dave Ramsey shopping spree because we were afraid that as soon as we read the book, page 1 was going to be never buy anything fun again. We were like somebody starting a diet on Monday who goes to a buffet the day before, because we are afraid of the expectation of Dave. We were afraid that he was going to say, hey, you need to sell your car and get a burro. You need to ride to school on a donkey. And it's a 3-hour ride, and it's a really difficult donkey, and you're going to smell like a barn, but that's what you have to do if you want to be smart with your money. But then we opened the books, and we started to read. Then we started to watch classes much like this one, and we realized that's not what he says at all. That's not what Rachel says. Being smart doesn't mean being cheap. Being smart doesn't mean riding a donkey to work or school. And we learned that there's a big difference between those things. And the reality is Dave and Rachel, they'd love if you had a nice car. They'd love if you had a nice house and a nice college education. But more than that, they'd love if all those things were paid for. They want you in that car. They do. They want it to be nice and have heated seats and a lot of cup holders. But above that, they want it to be paid for. They don't want there to be a loan attached to that anchor on you as you drive that car. Being smart with your money doesn't mean you're cheap with your money. It means you're smart. And so maybe for you that does mean selling a car or doing something that's a little difficult at first, but in the long run, you get to live like no one else. And I promise there's not a single donkey involved in that.